Everybody, this is Hondo Carpenter, the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, which you're presently watching, and your Las Vegas beat writer for sports, Las Vegas Raiders beat writer for Sports Illustrated. It is great to be here with you today. We are literally 8 days away from the start of training camp, which is awesome. It is a great time. The long lost wandering in the wilderness of no professional NFL football is almost over. What an exciting time of year it is. I hope you're getting these last moments in with your family, enjoying such a great summer. Some places here in Vegas, scorching. Some places, maybe not scorching compared to Vegas, but scorching where they are. I just hope you're enjoying your time, getting to be with family, enjoy family, and enjoying all of it because we know once football starts, our weekends change. I have to tell you a great story. With what I do for a living, I had a relative once that asked me to be in their wedding. And I said, well, you know what I do? It depends upon if it's during football season. And if it is, it's got to be during a bye week, unless I get assigned another game to go to. And I was told, well, yeah, it's going to be, but you can take 1 week off. And I went, no. So it's great to be with football season upon us, and we've got a lot going on and very, very excited to dig into today's program. I want to discuss with you something that I believe firmly that the Raiders are an ascending franchise, an ascending team. I don't think they're complete. I think they still have holes to fill. They've got places where some young guys need to step up. In some places, frankly, that maybe some older guys need to step up. But I think they're, I my preseason prediction before training camp was which is what I do every year. 9 wins is the basement. 11 regular season wins is, in my opinion, is the ceiling. So I predicted 10 wins. Now remember, I reserve the right to reevaluate my prediction after training camp because I'll be every day at training camp bringing you podcasts with training camp updates every single day, what I'm seeing, what sticks out to me. So I do reserve the right to um, change my opinion there, but that's my first analysis of what I think this team can do. But when you're dealing with an ascending franchise, there you have to, in my opinion, set realistic expectations. Now, from my standpoint, I understand the franchise has done a terrific job from Al Davis to Mark Davis, has done a tremendous job of selling their fan base, just win, and they haven't done that. So they are the ones who have created an expectation that has not been met. Now, I want to put this in perspective because I think you'll appreciate it. I grew up on a private lake, and where I'm from in Michigan is the cornfields of Langsburg, Michigan. And but I grew up on a private lake, and there's lots of rain where I'm from. And over a course of time, our family had gone away for a week, maybe 10 days. But when we returned, we'd gotten so much rain that our boat, which was kept docked into the shore, it wasn't really in a dock. We would just pull it up on the shore, and the engine would sit in the water. But there's so much rain had come that the water level was here, but the back of the boat, if this was the boat, was underwater. So my mother gives me an assignment and says to me, I want you to go bail out the boat so the back of the boat is not underwater. So I go and I get in the boat, and it's underwater, which meant it was impossible to bail from that position. Because if you take a bucket of water and dump it out, it's underwater, so it never changes the water level of the back of the boat. So I went and tried to explain it to my mom, who did not understand, and she said, "You get out there, your father works so hard, you better have that boat bailed out by the time he gets home." So I'm in the boat, can't be bailed out because, again, the back of the boat is under the water level. Picture the boat sitting up at the shore, and so much water had come. If this was the water level, the boat's under the water. Good. I did what I was told. And I had bailed for probably 2 or 3 hours. I was exhausted. So I sat down for a moment to get a rest. Well, when I did, the boat shifted, all the water shifted, and the boat flipped over. So here it is. The boat is now underwater and the engine's in the air. You say, what does that have to do with the Raiders? It has a lot. I'm explaining. My mother's expectation, she wasn't a bad mom, but her expectation was that I'd be able to bail out the boat. But the reality was she didn't understand it couldn't be bailed out. There's going to have to use some external help. Here's my point. The Raider organization has sold you just win. And so their expectations is they have taught you fans is, hey, I don't care if the boat's underwater, get it floating up. That's the fans' approach. Like my mother's approach was to the boat. But the problem is regardless of what expectations are, your expectations have to be rooted in reality. Now, as a fan, they don't. As a fan, you don't have to have that reality. You can say every year, we're going to the Super Bowl, and that's great. And I do not have any issue with those players. I mean, with those people. I have a relative. Well, I'll give you even a better one. I have a very, very good friend, and his name is Greg Martin. And I've talked about him before on the program. Great friend, great family guy, very close to him and love him dearly. One of those friends that everybody needs. We may not see each other every day, but could pick up the phone at any moment and call him, and he'd be there for me, and I would for him. He's a real friend. Yeah. So he grows up a Detroit Lion fan, an unrealistic Detroit Lion fan. And every year, woo, we're going to the Super Bowl. Woo! Well, this is the first time in his lifetime that I believe the Lions are in a position where that's a reality. But for him, every year, woo! I'll never forget. They came off the year where they didn't win a game. And he's trying to tell me, yeah, but this year they're going to the playoffs. They've done okay. Okay. I'm not picking on you, Greg. It's that's what you want from your fan base. Now, one of the things that I love about the Raider fan base, and I love it, I don't like it, I love it, is their belief every year is just win. Now, having grown up in Michigan, Lions fans want the Raiders to win. I mean, the Lions to win. They're like, "Woo, Lions!" But every year when the Lions lose, they don't lose their fandom because they have no expectation. They literally, I mean, it's a big joke. I'll never forget one time the Lions, were I think they were 4-2 or whatever, and the big joke on local talk radio because I had a talk radio show for many many years was how are the Lions going to screw this up? And nobody was mad. Because Lion fan doesn't have that expectation. Raider fan, complete opposite. Every year, Super Bowl, every year, that is the expectation. So they get angry when they don't do it. Now, I want you to listen to me. I think that's what makes Raider fans so incredibly special. Incredibly special is that they get and they have an expectation of winning, and that is the standard. I had a guy email earlier this summer, and I wish I had kept his email. I apologize that I haven't. Who said, "Listen, I went to all the games in Oakland. I can't afford Vegas, but I would rather them move to Vegas and no longer have money troubles and have the best facilities and be able to get any free agent that they want and win because to me, I love my franchise so much. Winning is more important than me being able to be in the building." Some of you may remember that. What a great email that was. It was an inspiring email. Inspiring because that's Raider fan. It's just win, and if you don't win, it's horrible. Now, that is where you want your fan base to be. It's not good to have a fan base that's apathetic. You want a fan base that cares. So when Raider fans are talking, it's hey, Super Bowl or bust, baby. That's the expectation of this organization. I love that. But my job as a beat writer and a journalist is to present to you, okay, your expectations are Super Bowl or all. My expectation is I'm going to hold them to the standard of where I think their ceiling is. That's the standard that I'm going to set, and I'm going to report to that standard. Now, I also have another rule. The first 20 games of a coach's head coaching career, no matter where he is, in the NFL, different in college. The first 20 games are mulligans to me. I don't have a whole lot of expectations because for me, they've got to get their staff together. They have to begin to set a plan for their systems, offensively, defensively, special teams. Then they got to be able to evaluate because sometimes you inherit guys that you really can't get rid of. And this allows you an off season to get some rookies, some more rookies, and an off season to get some free agents. Then you begin to judge them after 20 games. So those are part of my expectations as well. And the reason that I'm telling you all that is I'm going somewhere with this today. And we are 8 days away from training camp. And I don't count last year for Antonio Price as part of his 20 games because it was an interim. He was stuck with a staff that he didn't pick, et cetera, et cetera. It didn't have any impact on the rook. I mean, and to say on who the rookies were or free agents. But as the Raiders go into camp, I think there are some things that you need to have, in my opinion, realistic expectations about. And I want to discuss today. Now, you as fans, it's not my job to tell you what you should expect. That's your decision. I'll never forget when I was young, my dad, I made a couple of decisions, spent some money on some stuff that I probably shouldn't have. I remember and it didn't matter what I bought, but I bought a couple things. And when I got into a little bit of a financial pinch, my dad said to me, what do you think you did wrong? And I told him, I said, I bought these two things I probably shouldn't have. And he goes, yeah, you're right. You shouldn't have. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me? And he said, son, never tell another man how he should spend his own money. He works for it. It's up to him. He goes, but as your dad, I knew they weren't big things. I mean, to me, they were expensive, but I was 18 and 19 years old. He goes, they weren't real expensive things, and it was going to be a tough lesson, but I wanted you to be able to learn it. I'll never tell you, the fan, what you should think. It's not my job. It irritates me when media act like it is my job to tell you what to think. Or when media act like, hey, it's my job. Fans are stupid. They don't know anything. That is the most arrogant place to come from. I don't know it all. And fans have every right, because without you, I don't have a job. So our fans have every right to have any expectation that you want. But me as a journalist, I want to be incredibly fair to the fan base that are my bosses of why I think what I think, and I want to be fair to the team and the players that I cover. I will never forget one time I had a fan ask me, "Boy, I bet the players really get mad when you're critical." No, maybe 2 out of 100. But when you're in the locker room every day and you're critical and you show up and they understand it's not personal, he doesn't take personal shots at me. For example, there are some people that you would never know in the past that I disliked. It doesn't matter if I dislike them. My job isn't to cover the people that I like. My job is to cover the team. And I don't give different coverage to somebody I like or dislike. Now, with this team, there is not one guy now. And there's a couple people I don't know as well. So, but there are a couple guys that I don't know as well, but I talk to other teammates. I talk to other people I know 'em who know them from other organizations who speak very highly of them. And there's nobody on this team that I don't personally like. And I admit that to you. Someone once sent me a thing and said, well, you just like everybody. Not true. But this isn't TMZ. It's not a gossip column. So if I don't like somebody, I don't say anything unless it's directly reflective of football. And then at that point, I still don't endeavor to make it personal. That's not right. Not liking somebody has nothing to do with the coverage of them. I remember covering a guy one time who genuinely really liked me. In fact, he invited me my wife and I to his wedding. And I went, got him a gift. And if you were to have asked me, hey, do you like that guy? Not so much. But he never knew it. And he liked me and we got along. And so when I explain to you what expectations are, I want you to understand the parameters in which I'm delivering those expectations. I want you to understand to me that I can understand the past of the Raiders, the just win babies. I mean, just win baby, but I live in modernity and what's happening today. So I want to deal with a couple of things and about expectations. I want to start with Davante Adams. This is a big deal to me. Many of you are aware, most of you are aware that I a year before he came here, we began to write on a regular basis about Davante Adams coming to the Raiders. Okay. Some people in the media called it clickbait. We had reason to believe it, and we kept doing it, and it happened exactly as we said it would. Then, when Derek Carr gets basically benched, the rumors begin to fly that Davante Adams is going wants out, wants out. I'm the one that was the first to report. Not true. Not true. Then Josh McDaniels comes in and Davante doesn't want to be a Raider. You may remember I asked him point blank. I'm the one that broke the story. Yes, I want to be here. I'm on the page. Let's go. Then they, moved to Antonio Pierce. Oh, he wants out. Again, I broke the story. No, he's fine. I'm not saying that to pat Hondo on the back. I'm saying it because going back to his arrival, I've been on top of the Davante Adams information. And so now Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, I can't wait to play with him again. So some people are saying, oh, it's Aaron Rodgers trying to stir the pot, whatever. I want to explain to you how I'm judging the situation. We reported on Aaron Rodgers' comments because they were very germane and they should have been reported on. Here's an elite quarterback who has a brother relationship with an elite Raider, stating definitively, not I hope to play with him again. I can't. Now, Davante's done everything in the world to make it clear he wants to be a Raider. So it's fair to report on what Aaron says. So let's talk about what is the future of Davante Adams. You may remember I told you at the beginning of the offseason when they gave the job to Antonio Pierce and people said, here we go, another rebuilding job. I told you exactly what I was told very high up within the Raiders. If it was a rebuild, Davante wouldn't be coming back because of where he is in his career. He is still in his prime. He's in no way going backwards. I still think he's the best receiver in the NFL. I do not think that Justin Jefferson is better than him. I think Justin Jefferson's the second best. And if I were selecting a wide receiver today, I would probably take Justin, not because I think Davante's better, but he's a lot younger. He's got more gas in the tank. But if it was for just one season, no way. Taking Davante every day. But as he's ascending that career level, he still is a very valuable piece, but he's also 10 years into the league. So if you're rebuilding, you trade him to get more building blocks, younger building blocks, because you're a rebuilding team. But I was told by someone very high in the organization, Davante's not going anywhere. We're not rebuilding. So I shared all that with you. And as rumors flew, we just kept telling you, this is the plan. Now, the future looking forward is Davante wants to win. He wants to go out and get a Super Bowl. He wants to be able to play at the level that he knows he can play. Again, another example. I'm always trying to use examples with you to put everything in perspective. So my son Shane is an adult. He's in college now. And last night he spent the night at my home. Wherever I live is his home. But he spent the night. When he came, it wasn't, gee, Dad, can we blow up some balloons and play with some trains and dinosaurs? Well, why? Because he's 19 years old. Dexter is my son. who in just a couple days turns 2. Okay. His expectation is every day is I want to play trains. I want to play dinosaurs. Let's blow up some balloons. Neither one is wrong. They're at different stages of their life. So you've got Davante, who's older, who, yeah, you know what? I don't know that I want to be part of a rebuild because a rebuild's going to take time to be competitive again. But see, Davante wants to be here because he sees, okay, this is a team that's ready to be competitive now. That was the insight into the Raiders' understanding I've tried to give you all offseason. If they had traded Davante Adams this offseason, it would have been a white flag of surrender. We are rebuilding. That is not the mindset of this organization. They're building, but they're not rebuilding. They have far too many pieces. This Raider team is loaded with talent. Are they the most talented roster in the NFL? Not close. Are they a playoff talented roster? Absolutely. And they have so much youth that if they continue to develop, they're going to have a dynamite roster. Okay, you got a Max Crosby just and Christian Wilkins for one example, and there's others who are both the best in their position in the National Football League and both very young. They both have not even reached the peak yet of their pinnacle of their prime. So if you're rebuilding, you keep those young elite players around because you know when the rebuild's over in 3 years, they're going to still be here and they're going to be in their absolute prime, ready to go. But Davante, 3 years now takes him 13 years into the league. Different mindset. So here's Davante. This is what I see, how I see his future. Okay. He wants to be here. He wants the Raiders to succeed. He loves the organization. I can tell you this. He loves AP, loves AP, and like really loves Luke Getzey. Luke Getzey, I mean, AP told me this at the Super Bowl, and I've already posted the video. They came to him. He signed off on Getzey. He wanted Getzey. He respects him and he likes him. So him being here is not a bad deal. He's very a firm believer in Davante and um, Gardner. He's extremely supportive there, and he's on board. He's not looking to change. He's all in on this. But if the Raiders should go in a direction, okay, it's a rebuild, then absolutely I believe that he would want to go. Absolutely, I believe that. And I think playing with Aaron Rodgers is a very viable trade destination. But dealing with reality, which is what I'm trying to do today, and expectations, if the Raiders go through the season, and let's assume the worst, let's assume that Gardner and Aiden just don't pan out, and Anthony Brown just doesn't pan out, and the Raiders next year have to go get a quarterback. I don't think that that means that he wants to leave at all. I could totally see a scenario where the Raiders quarterbacks fail and he sticks around. Why? Maybe they go get a veteran. You know, nobody talks about this, but maybe the Raiders go get Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they go get Aaron Rodgers and pick a young quarterback so Aaron can mentor him. I don't know those situations. Only God knows that. And I don't think anybody else knows that. Maybe they go get a different veteran quarterback and bring in a rookie to develop. The point is, if the Raiders say to Davante, listen, we're being aggressive, we're addressing the quarterback situation, and we're not going to rebuild, I don't see a scenario where he doesn't want to be here. That's how much he loves it. But if it's clear they decide to rebuild, the Raiders have too much respect for him and he for them. Hey, go trade me. You know, go get some pieces for the future. I love the organization. I want them to do well. And so I'm saying all of this to put in perspective of where I think it is with Davante Adams. I've gotten a lot of email from people asking me if I think he's a diva. You know, he says he wants to be here, but then the Netflix receiver show comes out and I got to get out of here or whatever. I'm going to tell you as somebody that I has a very good relationship with Davante, who has been on top of his career with the Raiders since before he got here. So I believe I'm able to address Davante Adams with a level of credibility because I've reported accurately everything up to now. Again, I know he loves the organization. I know he wants to be here. I know that. But if it turns to a rebuilding mode, I think he would have a different perspective just because of where he is in his career, where he is in his career. And so I want to assure you, and you don't have to believe me, but as somebody that knows Davante, been around him in a football situation and not football situations, he's an honorable man. He's just, I don't believe this is accurate, but I think he's the kind of guy some people would say he's too truthful for his own good. I don't think you can be that person personally. I don't think that's where you can rest. But he is extremely truthful. He's extremely honest. He's extremely honorable. So when you see him answering questions, he's trying to be as truthful to you as he can. And when he says, I'd have to rethink that, it's not him being a diva. And I'm going to say something. If you will think that he's being a diva or whatever, that's fine. You're entitled to that opinion. But I'm telling you, as somebody that's around him, the one thing that I want you to know about Davante Adams is he is genuine. He's real. And he is one of the multimillionaire superstars that privately he's still the same guy. Still the same guy. And whether it's, being a dad and taking his, children and family to a movie or playing in a big football game, you're not going to get a different guy. He's genuine. And so I really wanted to address this because so many people have emailed and just say my expectations are the Raiders aren't rebuilding. He's here. If it turns to a rebuilding mode and the Raiders say, hey, we're going to go in this direction, I could see him then saying, you know what? Why don't you look and see if you can get some good pieces for me? But that's not where he is. He wants to be here. He wants to be here. My wife and I know a lady, wonderful lady, who loved her husband dearly and for all intents and purposes thought she had a great marriage. And then her husband decided he didn't want anything to do with her and left her and divorced her. Her expectations weren't divorce. She didn't want divorce. Sometimes it just happened. And it turned out in her life, she remarried a wonderful man and extremely happy. If it was a rebuilding situation, I could see where Davante would say, you know what, this is fine, but trade me, go get some pieces for you, because he'll always be a Raider fan. But where I'm at in my career right now, maybe not. So again, I hope you understand expectation. It's the same way where Max said, hey, if you don't want AP, that's fine. I'm going to rethink if I'm going to be here. Why? Because he just risked his life to play. And if you're just going to keep bringing in the flavor of the month and coaches, then I want to be where I can win. Max wants to be here. But if the Raiders ever went in a direction that wasn't about winning, it was about PR. I can tell you, I know Max very well. Yeah, I don't want to be here then. So I think expectations with Davante sometimes people expect a divine loyalty. I'm a Raider for life. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be there. Yeah. But sometimes there is a reality of, hey, where I'm at in my career and where you are as an organization are not meshing. We should probably rethink that. And I think it's fair. And I think you got to be fair when you set expectations to understand that. So again, I don't think there was any diva in Davante Adams. I don't think Aaron Rodgers did anything wrong. I think it's two very close friends. Can you blame Aaron Rodgers for wanting Davante back? I don't blame him one bit. And it's Davante saying, hey, I'm a Raider. I want to be a Raider. Quit trying to make a controversy. And I am in sync with where the Raiders are going. I think if there was a change in that synchronicity, in that esprit de corps between the Raiders and Davante, it could be different. So that's where I really wanted to get into about Davante's future and about expectations. I wanted to put it in perspective for you because as the season goes on, I'm going to deal with expectations again tomorrow. And I think you'll understand this. And I think you're going to understand where I'm going more and more and more as we deal with expectations heading into camp. We're 8 days away, and I'm going to be really talking about expectations, where they sit for this team, where they should sit for you and for everybody else. It's a Monday. Go take on the day. Go enjoy the day. I love Mondays. My dad used to always say, get up on Mondays because your competition, they're hungover, they're tired because they played all weekend. And so it takes them till Tuesday to get back in sync. So you go to work on Monday ready to go and you start out a day ahead of them. So you know what? Attack Mondays. And if you're watching this at night, attack your Tuesday, but have a wonderful day. I want to say this super quick. Our training camp coverage is going to be incredibly elite. We're going to have so much information for you, 100% free, tons of video, tons of articles, and we really, really appreciate you. And I just feel it important to say thank you for allowing us to serve you. I, as your beat writer, Zeke is our assistant beat writer. As you know, Aiden Champion, Carter Landis, Michael France, all of our Raider writers, Michael Canello. It's a privilege to serve you. It's a privilege. You don't have to come to us for your Raider information. You choose to. We don't take you for granted. We're not entitled to your viewership. And I want to thank you for listening, watching, and reading. It means the world. Cannot wait to get to Costa Mesa to cover this team and to really dig into what I think is going to be an exceptional training camp and what I think is going to be a really fun season. God bless you all. Have a great day.